evening, everyone. Thank you for watching us tonight. Happy Friday. It's Friday Fun Day, right? Yes. It could be Friday Fun Day or Sunday Fun Day. You are tuned into Tactical Talk with Mad Dog Armory. Here with Jillian, and this is Shad.
Hi.
We come to you every Friday at 6 p.m. on WeBeam TV. You can also follow us on social media platforms, which will be on your screen throughout the show, YouTube and Facebook and Twitter and all those good social media outlets. So please go ahead and like and follow us. I was able to kind of subscribe, so I get a little warning, I guess, when we're about to go on. So go ahead and do that. It'll make it super easy for you to follow us. I'm super excited to be here tonight. Yeah. Like I said, my name is Jillian, and this is Shad or Mr. B, or you have a lot of different names that I kind of call you. Yeah.
We won't get into the pet names. Another show.
Yeah, you don't want to know about that. So it's a little chilly here in Florida.
Yeah.
So if you didn't know, we're in the Tampa Bay area, and we're used to, palm trees and sunshine. And unfortunately, it's been a bit chilly out, and I'm not really liking it.
Bit nipply.
It's very, very nipply. Not sure we should be saying that, but, it's true. Us Floridians don't really like the cold weather.
I'm fine with it. I actually like it. It's nice.
That's true.
It's a good change of pace because it gets hot as balls around here. So it's, yeah.
Yeah. So the weather's been a little chilly. I'm a little excited because ladies like to wear, boots and Uggs and things like that. So now's the time that we can do that. So
weeks out of the year.
That's the one thing. Only you get a couple of days that you can actually wear your winter stuff. Right. So pretty excited about that. Yeah. This is now episode 3, so we're super excited about that.
We made it.
We're going to be talking, this show is going to be about PSAs and CWPs. So I was pretty...
Lots of acronyms.
Lots of acronyms.
Yeah.
So if you don't know what a PSA is, what is a PSA?
Public service announcement.
Correct. So public service announcements, meaning some things that you probably shouldn't do, maybe some etiquette stuff.
Sure.
And then CWPs.
Concealed Weapons Permit.
Correct. So CWP stands for that, but we are going to get into that. The CWP is what people call concealed weapon or firearm licenses.
In Florida, it's a concealed weapon or firearms license.
Mm-hmm.
So it's actually, technically, I guess, the CWFL.
Just CWFL. Concealed weapon or firearm license. Yeah, and we'll have it up on the screen. We're going to be talking about that later. But I just wanted to break down kind of what we're going to be talking about today, and that is PSAs and CWPs. So super excited about that.
Yeah.
All right, getting into a little bit about Mad Dog Armory and Shad and Jillian and what we are doing here. Basically, we are super thankful to WeBeamTV.com. They basically were able to give us this platform. Shad and I have been censored for a very long time, being in the gun industry. A lot of advertising, a lot of different avenues that we try to get product, different things that we're not able to do because we are in the gun industry. So it's very frustrating for us. And when WeBeam came to us and said they were looking for a gun show that they can put on with a male and a female, we were a good fit because Shad and I both own Mad Dog Armory, which is a gun retail store and training stores. Thank you. We do have 2 now.
Yep.
And they are located in the Tampa Bay market as well. One is in
Tampa.
South Tampa, the South Tampa area.
Kennedy Boulevard. And then we also have one in Largo in Pinellas County as well, which is across the bay if you're not familiar with the area.
Correct. And the Largo location is actually the OG. It was our original location. We started in 2016. And
no, acronym.
What's that?
OG.
OG. What does that stand for? Old
over
girl?
gold? I don't know.
Old girl, maybe. Because I know it's like OG. People say OG like it's the, it's the original.
Right.
It's the OG. So I kind of said it, but I don't really even know what it stands for.
How about OPP?
That stands for something different than what we remember, than what our kids actually said that it was
Old people's problems.
OPP does not mean old people's problems.
Well, that's what our kids think.
Right.
But
So
in reality, look it up. You down with OPP? Yeah, you know me.
jeez. Okay. All right, so back to why we're doing what we're doing. We're, like I said, excited. I said I wasn't going to say super excited as much because I do say that a lot, but I am very excited because I love this platform. I love being able to educate and teach and be able to talk freely about the industry that we're so passionate about. Yeah. So super thankful, like I said, to WeBeam. So definitely check them out. They have some other shows that are pretty awesome, and we are very thankful. So basically, this is where we do the huzzah because we were going to do the Facebook FU because Facebook is good and bad, doesn't allow us to promote any type of posts that we do or anything like that. We're very censored,
stuff.
super censored on Facebook. So there's a lot of things.
To Facebook.
Yes, huzzah.
There you go, huzzah.
So we love the huzzah. We use it a lot. So you'll be hearing that. It's a Russian cheer from the show The Great. If you haven't seen it, I think it's Hulu.
I think
it's
so.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it's really good. It's
Slightly
really good.
inappropriate, which we like, and also very entertaining, which we also like.
Yep.
So we love the huzzah.
Yep.
We hope to keep you entertained and keep it real. We will keep it real for you. Some of our PSAs and some of the content we're going to talk about tonight, if you are not on the same page as us, meaning our beliefs and things like that, then you're going to want to change the channel because you're not going to want to hang out with us. And actually, the people that are changing the channel are probably the people that we're going to be
They'd get the most out of this
talking
show
about.
for sure. Yeah. Please
Yes.
stick around.
Yes.
Pretty please.
Yeah, stick around.
Because you really do need to hear some of this.
Yeah, it's good stuff. For
Bing
sure.
bong. Fuck your life.
Jeez. All right, you went ahead. Too
right.
soon.
Story of my life.
Yeah, too soon. All right, so Shad, so you've been in the industry for a while. We talked about our 2 locations.
Yeah.
We wanted to talk, I wanted to touch on Shad's shirt last week. So if you didn't see last week's show, Shad was wearing a Let's Go Brandon shirt. A few people didn't know what that was and what that meant and what it applied to. So the Let's Go Brandon shirt was pretty amazing, and my apologies for not bringing it up last week. But your shirt this week is also quite entertaining.
There's pretty much nothing hidden about this at all.
Yes, your shirt is entertaining. So Hillary for Prison 2016.
Yeah, still not sure why she hasn't spent any time in jail for the shit that she did.
Right.
If any one of us would have done anything similar to that at all, we would be spending many, many, many moons in prison.
Yes, agreed.
And something needs to happen. I mean, I get it. She's a first lady,
Former first lady.
Former first lady and all that kind of crap. But the reality is it's still bullshit.
It's upsetting,
yeah.
So. Yep, I agree. So love the shirts, love the meanings. Let's Go Brandon was, of course, from the NASCAR thing, right? So the people who were at NASCAR, they were chanting, F Joe Biden, something. Right. And the person that was filming was like, oh, they're saying Let's Go Brandon, because the guy she was talking to was Brandon.
Yeah, he won the race.
He won the race, and it wasn't what they were saying, but so it's become a chant.
Thank you for that, because now it makes it much easier to go ahead and, instead of fuck Joe Biden, we can just say, hey, let's go Brandon.
Right, yeah, and yeah.
Bing bong.
All right, so episode 3, super excited. Last week, we talked about sites.
Sites, yes.
Red dots,
all different kinds of sites.
Red dots, lasers, all different types of sites. Definitely go check out our other 2 shows that we did, because especially the last one was super informative about sites and optics and things like that. And I was just in our Tampa location, and there was a customer that was literally asking one of our salesmen exactly
what we covered.
Exactly what we
really
covered. And so it's really great for you to go back and look at that stuff, because it was exactly what we were talking about. So that's perfect.
It kind of makes it a little, you're rewarded when you know that you kind of do this stuff, and immediately you see, even though somebody didn't see the show, right? But we know that we just covered that content that they were just asking about, and it is kind of fulfilling. Kind of makes me feel good that we're able to kind of provide some of this stuff for people to learn
from. Yes, for sure. All right, so today's show, so we're going to be focusing on our first PSA, And that's to be informed before you speak on a topic. Before
Say
you
that one
speak
time
on
fast
a
or slow.
topic, know your topic, okay? Because did we get into being introduced on that first show? Like, oh, this is Shad. He owns a gun shop. Be nice to him because he's going to shoot you. You know, you don't want to say things like that.
Friend circles, just because we own a lot of guns and we are in this industry. It's like, oh, be careful what you say. He might shoot you.
Yeah, that's the exact opposite.
Last thing that I'd ever do. But
Right.
yeah, it does get a little interesting or weird. But
Yeah. So basically, the PSA, you know, the first one, it's, you know, fellow gun enthusiasts and, you know, people that love our country and our law enforcement and our military. You might be a little upset about the episode, not the episode, the film. What is it? Come on, Shad, help me out here. The clip. Sorry, the clip.
That we have.
I got to learn the lingo here. I'm new to this. The clip that you're about to see. So if you're a gun enthusiast, you're a Second Amendment supporter, this clip really upset Shad and I, and it brings us back to the PSA, the first PSA, which is being informed on the topic you speak about, right?
That's right.
So this clip is going to show basically Joe Byron. I don't know if you guys...
Joe Byron.
Joe Byron. And he's speaking on the Constitution. He's also speaking on a couple other things that are infuriating to us as gun owners and gun enthusiasts because we feel that he doesn't really know what he's talking about, meaning be informed before you speak on a topic. So we are going to take a listen to what he says here, and then we're going to kind of break it down for you. So if we can,
Cue it up, Dylan.
if we're ready, Dylan, then let's cue it up.
Look, as I said, we're not about defunding. We're about funding and providing the additional services you need beyond someone with a gun strapped to their shoulder, to their hip. We need more social workers. We need more mental health workers. We need more people who, when you're called on these scenes and someone's about to jump off a roof, is not just someone standing there with a weapon. It's someone who also knows how to talk to people, talk them down. We can't expect you to do every single solitary thing that needs to be done to keep a community safe. It's time to fund community policing to protect and serve the community. I'm also calling for increased funding for the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms and the U.S. Marshal's offices. I'm confident that if we fund these programs, we'll see a reduction in violence. In the next year's budget, I'm also going to try to double down on this investment. I think I got a lot of partners here in New York going to help. Mayor Adams, you say that gun violence is a sea fed by many rivers. Well, I put forward a plan to dam up some of those streams. You can count on me to be a partner in that effort. And I have the U.S. Attorney, United States Attorney General here with me today. And we put together a comprehensive strategy to combat gun crime in cities like New York, Philadelphia, Atlanta, and many other cities, San Francisco. First, we want to crack down on the flow of firearms used to commit violence. That includes taking on and shutting down rogue gun dealers. It's about doing background checks, as well as outright selling making sure that people who are not allowed to have a gun don't get the gun in the first place. And again, for any of the press listening, this doesn't violate anybody's Second Amendment right. There's no violation of a Second Amendment right. We talk like there's no amendment that's absolute. When the amendment was passed, it didn't say anybody can own a gun and any kind of gun and any kind of weapon. You couldn't buy a cannon when this amendment was passed. And so no reason why you should be able to buy certain assault weapons, but that's another issue. And look, one of the things that we focused on, the Attorney General and I, and we're getting to the point where I think we're going to be able to have a real impact on it, includes going after ghost guns. Ghost guns are the guns everyone in this room knows that can be purchased in parts, assembled at home, no serial number, and can't be traced. And they're as deadly as any other weapon out there. But the fact is, they are out there. And, you know, this spring, the Justice Department will issue a final rule to regulate these so-called ghost guns. But there's more we can do. Across the country, police departments report sharp increases in the number of ghost guns found at crime scenes. That's why today the department is launching an intensified national ghost gun enforcement initiative to determine and deter criminals from using those weapons to cover their tracks. If you commit a crime with a ghost gun, not only are state and local prosecutors going to come after you, but expect federal charges and federal prosecution as well. We've also created a strike force to crack down on illegal gun trafficking across state lines. As the mayor said, as he pointed out, guns that are used to kill people in New York City, they aren't made in New York City, they aren't sold in New York City, they are sold in other places. Today, the Attorney General directed all U.S. attorneys in the United States to prioritize combating gun trafficking across state lines and city boundaries. The Justice Department is sending additional prosecutorial resources to help shut down what's referred to, as you all know, as the iron pipeline that funnels guns from shops in states like Georgia to crime scenes in Baltimore and Philadelphia and New York and so many other places.
Welcome back, Santiago.
Okay, so that was a little bit of a long clip, but it was pretty important. We didn't want to cut it too much, but so just first and foremost, like, wow.
Heavy on the wow.
I mean,
can
the
the guy
speaking.
form a fucking sentence?
I mean, when you're talking about a subject that you're informed about,
Right.
there shouldn't be all of that, like, bumbling. I mean, there's so much of it. I mean, even starting to do this, I mean, guys, it's only our third show, and knowing what we're talking about, although we have notes, like he has a teleprompter, it's kind of like he really doesn't know what he's talking about. It's hard for him to even to form a sentence. It's sad. Like, somebody help him.
And this is the leader of the free world, right? This is absolutely infuriating. I mean, it really is. It's mind-boggling that he actually won this election.
Or did he? Yeah.
Whole nother discussion.
All right, so we're going to break this down a little bit for you to kind of understand what he kind of talked about here. So, so rogue gun dealers. I mean, he mentions that multiple times. Rogue gun dealers, like, I mean, if there's a handful of rogue dealers in the entire United States, it's a lot.
Happens, right? I'm sure it happens, but reality is like, so what are you going to do?
That's not the problem,
right?
though.
Exactly, not the problem. Well,
I mean,
I guess they can kind of contribute to the problem.
They
but
can
ultimately,
contribute,
that's not the problem.
but the main problem is the money that we're spending. The task forces that he's. Is it task forces?
That he's putting together.
Forces that he's putting together, you know, could be much better spent in different ways. Would you agree with that?
Yeah,
yes.
Absolutely.
So, sorry, Joe. Rogue gun dealers are not the issue. Criminals are the issue.
Absolutely.
So criminals are not going, aren't the problem, basically. So, but the people, by making all these rules and regulations that he's trying to pass and go through, he's punishing the people that actually own firearms and legally get them and legally, lawfully own them and lawfully use them. The problem is the criminals and the criminal justice system and what's happening in our country right now with letting people off the hook when they commit crimes. So this is the hugest problem that hugest, most huge, the
largest,
biggest,
ginormous,
biggest. I mean, huge.
Example, right? Recently, within the past couple of weeks, we had a incident go down locally in the Tampa Bay area, and two gentlemen were in an undercover sting. The police were buying firearms from them, right?
It was a undercover sting with police.
Undercover sting. So the guys actually pull one on the cops. They didn't know that they were cops at the time, and there was gunfire, right? They're in the shopping mall in a parking lot, and this starts to ring out.
And these are the rogue dealers that are meeting with cops to do a gun deal in a parking lot of a mall, correct?
But what happens is one guy gets arrested on the spot after a little bit, and the other guy gets away. But the guy that gets away is 19 years old and has 26 felonies.
A bunch.
26
a lot.
felonies.
Yeah.
How in God's creation is he even walking the face of the earth? I mean, 26 freaking felonies? I mean, what the hell? This is insane. I mean, you're literally just sitting here going, here, you can do whatever you want, and there's not going to be any repercussions for it.
Yeah, it's very sad, because that's not what this country is founded on. There is law and order to keep citizens safe, and it's unfair to side with the criminals. So rogue gun dealers are not necessarily the total issue, and it's not going to fix what's happening in the United States with illegal guns and criminals and things like that. The second thing we wanted to talk about is how he mentions that people that aren't allowed to have guns shouldn't have a gun, and we should be doing background checks. Well, in the state of Florida, when you purchase a firearm from a licensed gun dealer, you are required to get a background check every single time. So the issue is not with law-abiding citizens that are purchasing firearms from law-abiding gun shop owners, because they are required to get a background check every single time you purchase a firearm.
Well,
correct?
And during the pandemic, we ran into this problem, what, a year and a half, 2 years ago, during our peaceful protesting time. A lot of people came into the shop looking for protection, because they really were scared. And a lot of these people were people that never thought they'd own a gun, never even considered owning a gun. And when they came in to purchase the gun, we told them that they had a waiting period, and that freaked them out because they were like, why can't I just leave with it right now? And then the fact that there was a background check that had to be done. So this information that he keeps spewing out, and the left in general, they try to make it seem as though nothing is being done. So when people come in to do it and they hear that they actually have to have a background check and have to have a waiting period before they're able to take the firearm, is mind-boggling to them, which, again, I think is a disservice for the fact that the information that is being put out is not accurate or correct.
That is correct, and that's a very good point. Very good point, because we did have... Because we did have a lot of people that wouldn't normally have bought firearms, meaning like anti-gun or not, on the fence, or didn't have any training, beginners, that did come into the shop over the last few years because of the state of our country, and they have been very shocked with the actual steps that have to be done. So getting back into the video, I mean, I have different bullet points, but let me tell you, the third and fourth one was that maybe he had a slight stroke. I mean, he talks about, guns being on, he should be saying a gun on your hip, but he said it on the shoulder, on the, like there's so much.
Where are they supposed to be? I don't know.
There's so much going on there. So that was my note, that he had a slight stroke there. Then also he talked about the Second Amendment and that it is not absolute. We did a little Googling and things like that, and that is slightly accurate. But he also said that back in 1971, when the Second Amendment was passed, in the Bill of Rights, as part of the Bill of Rights, that you couldn't buy a cannon.
So that was actually in 1791.
What did I say?
1971.
Oh, just kidding. It was 1791. Thank you. And then the ATF, who regulates the cannons and the class 3 items, silencers like we have up here, or class 3 items, wasn't formed until 1972. So between 1791 and 1972, what Joe Biden is saying is that there were no cannons that could be bought or things like that. Can we own a cannon? Why can't we own a cannon? Like,
technically you can, and that's the whole reality. It's like he says stuff and he has no idea what the fuck he's talking about, and it really is mind-numbing. So when you talk about what you were able to own back in the day, it's irrelevant. You're able to protect yourselves from a tyrannical government, right? That's part of your Second Amendment right. So the fact of being able to purchase or deal with something specific, there's nothing in the Second Amendment that states that you can only have this or you can only have that. So when it was written, it's actually extremely inaccurate what he said.
Correct.
So there wasn't anything that said, oh,
you can't have this.
You can't have a cannon. You might not have been able to have a cannon, maybe because it might have been extremely expensive.
Or heavy.
It was definitely heavy. Yeah, it wasn't made out of aluminum. So, but again, it's just the fact it was probably very expensive to own, so there's probably very few people that could afford to have that particular item.
Correct.
So,
but I think having a cannon is cool, and it drives us absolutely mad when people try to put limits on what we can have and what we can't have. I mean, we're law-abiding citizens. We get these items legally, and there's no reason why there should not be available to us to legally purchase items that we want to have. So we don't put limits on kind of cars people can have or rims they can put on or, you
Right.
know, things like that. It's like, why are you limiting what I can have? If I want a Canon and I want to shoot it on my property or whatever I want to do, why can't I do it as long as I'm not harming anybody? Now, I'm not talking about our property that we, our residents, because we're in a residential neighborhood. But again, there's things that we should be able to own that shouldn't be regulated like that. You shouldn't, because of criminals. Because
Right.
of criminals not following the law, they're trying to punish law-abiding citizens by saying we can and we can't have
we
this.
consider those like extremists, right? And usually extremists on one side or the other, right? Because there's extremists everywhere. So extremists usually cause problems because ultimately not all Muslims are bad, right? Extremist Muslims are usually
Bad.
So all gun owners are not bad. It's the criminals that get them illegally that are bad.
Correct.
So if we don't condemn all Muslims, we shouldn't condemn all gun owners.
Yes.
Just that simple.
Good point. Nailed it.
Yeah, baby, nailed it.
What he said.
Right.
All right, so if you're just joining us, welcome. This is Tactical Talk with Mad Dog Armory with Shad and Jillian. And we are talking PSAs and CWPs today. We just had a public service announcement for you to know what you're talking about prior to making inaccurate statements and generalizations that are not accurate. We are now going to get into our second PSA, which is CWP. So what is it? Who should have it? What is that all about? So in the state of Florida, you can get a concealed license to carry. And a lot of people tend to call it a CWP. So they call it a permit. It's not. As you can see on the screen, it is called a concealed weapon or firearm license because not only can you carry concealed firearms with that concealed license, but you can also carry concealed other types of weapons, which are defined in our concealed carry classes that are available in the Tampa Bay area if you live local. And we want to kind of get into the concealed class that the state of Florida kind of holds us to that we have in our classes. So if you got into the habit of saying CWP, just stop it. Stop it. It's not a CWP. Look at your license if you own it. If you own
There's
one.
a CW on it, but there's no P.
Correct. All right. So concealed license, concealed, something like that.
Right.
A little trivial, but you know. Why are concealed licenses important to have? And is a license required to purchase a gun? Those are the two questions that I'm going to put on you. So do you need a concealed license to purchase a firearm in the state of Florida?
You don't. It's your Second Amendment right. So ultimately, if you're able to pass a background check, so ultimately if you don't pretty much have any felonies or any kind of domestic violence issues.
Dishonorably discharged. There's a bunch of
Right.
reasons why you can't. But
ultimately, if you're able to pass a background check, you're able to purchase a firearm. There are some communist states that require more than that in order for you to do that. So, but in Florida, pass a background check and you're a Florida resident, that is in order to purchase a pistol, you do need to be a Florida resident, show residency, and pass a background check. So with that stuff, you're able to purchase a firearm.
So you do not need a concealed license to purchase a firearm in the state of Florida. However, there is something called a cooling down period, which is a certain amount of time that the specific county that you live in makes you wait until you can actually come in and pick up the firearm and leave with it. So you can come in and you can purchase the firearm, you do the background check, money changes hands, and then your wait period starts. And it could either be 3 days, it could be 5 days.
Most counties are 3 days. So as the state itself has it at 3 days, and then any county can tack more days on top of that.
Correct.
So in Pinellas County, we have a 3-day wait, and in our Hillsborough County store, which is in Tampa, it's a 5-day wait. And those are business days, so you can't count holidays or weekends.
Correct. And so once you have your concealed license, however, it takes away that wait period.
Correct.
So anybody that has a concealed license can come in and purchase the firearm. They do their background check, but they can leave with it that same day as long as their background check comes back that they
Correct.
can take it.
Yep.
So your concealed license doesn't negate your background check.
Right.
It just negates the wait period that you have to pick up your firearm.
Correct.
Just to be clear on that, because a lot of people are confused on that, and they have their concealed, and they say, well, why do I need a background check?
Right.
I already have my concealed license.
And if you think about this, the concealed weapons license, it's good for 7 years, okay? So in 7 years, a lot of stuff can go down. So reality is if something happens in those 7 years, you may not have had your license revoked. So when you go in to purchase something, this is a way to verify and make sure that you're still good in order to take possession. So again, it's a little step, but it's one of those that I'm willing to deal with, as a concealed weapons license holder, in order to make it easier to purchase and take home. It's one little step, no big deal.
Right. So you also mentioned that somebody needs to be a resident of the state of Florida in order to purchase a firearm. Now, they can purchase it from us, but we just can't release it to an out-of-state resident, correct? Or not a resident, because they don't live in Florida. But if you don't live in Florida and your residency is somewhere else, because this is something we run into a lot, especially in Florida, because we have dual residents, we have snowbirds, what we call them, and those are people that have dual residencies and things like that. But if you do not have proof of residency here in the state of Florida that you can prove to us, then we can ship that purchase that you made from us to your neighborhood gun shop where you live. So you can absolutely purchase, because you could purchase these items online.
Correct.
And then we can ship them.
And we can sell you a rifle or a long gun, but we do have to follow particular requirements that the ATF puts in front of us. So ultimately, depending on the state that you live in, what are their regulations in order to purchase? So there are states that I say are communist states, like Illinois and New York and California, that have a bunch of restrictions on how to purchase. I'm not going to deal with selling something to somebody that's one of those residents, because it's a real pain in the butt, and I don't want to lose my license just to make a sale.
Correct. Yeah, we won't do that. So, but if you have any questions about that, please feel free to reach out to us on social media. You can also visit our website, mdarmory.com, and we can kind of go through. There's some frequently asked questions and things like that. So,
comment on this, comment during the show.
Sure.
So absolutely, bring some stuff up.
And one of the other things we wanted to talk about the concealed license is reciprocity.
Yeah.
So reciprocity is basically other states that honor your Florida license.
Correct.
So once you get your license in the mail and you have it in your hand, these are the current states that are on your screen that honor Florida license holders. Now you can see underneath each one of those states is a hyperlink. You can click on that state. So if I'm going to Alabama, I want to go ahead and click on that state and learn what those rules and regulations are, because those little numbers mean something. Now, I know you've been trying to kind of study what those were, but I don't know them by heart. It's too much information for instructors to know every single state's, every single rule. So we really focus in on Florida, and we put it on the person that's visiting that other state to learn about that state's rules and regulations. But
ultimately right now there's 35 states, somewhere around there. I think there's 3 states that you do need to be a Florida resident in order to have reciprocity. So the other states, you don't have to be a Florida resident, so you can be a out-of-state resident, get a Florida concealed weapons license, and you're able to conceal carry here. With that being said, we just talked about purchasing. That doesn't give you the right to purchase. So you can still purchase a long gun or a shotgun, but it doesn't allow you to leave with it the same day. So you have to have a Florida license and a Florida concealed weapons license in order for that to occur.
Okay, so there's a lot of different rules and regulations as far as reciprocity goes. So just because that state is listed on the reciprocity list doesn't necessarily mean it's giving you permission to carry or purchasing rules and things like that. So learn about that specific state prior to you going, because something as simple as a capacity rule could really make a difference in your trip. If you have a Glock 19 and you have a 15-round mag, and that state only allows 10.
You're going through New York or New Jersey.
You really need to know that state only allows that certain capacity. So really look into that state that you're going to. So this way you get all the information you need to be able to carry legally there.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So concealed carry licenses. So I have another PSA, but I don't know if we're going to have time for it. Should we do it?
Sure we are.
Okay. So before we get into that, I wanted to do another PSA. And again, thank you for joining us. If you're just joining us now, Tactical Talk with Mad Dog Armory with Shad and Jillian. We're on every Friday at 6 p.m. on WeBeamTV.com and all of our social media platforms, YouTube, Twitter, all that stuff,
Instagram.
Facebook and all that.
Yeah.
So PSA number 3, driving on the roads in Florida. So as we said, we have a lot of snowbirds. And we have a lot of dual residencies and things like that. And especially with the way the country is now, we have a lot of people from up north coming down to Florida. The roads are getting a little busy. You know, housing is becoming very scarce as far as what's available. So we want to kind of go over the driving rules in the state of Florida. And I think it's pretty much anywhere, but we just want to kind of concentrate on us because we're kind of selfish and we're driving on the roads ourselves, and it's really getting frustrated.
You know who you are, Wisconsin.
Wisconsin from this morning, you really pissed him off this morning driving. All right, so driving on the roads in Florida, it can be a little frustrating because we're not following the rules of the road, okay? So do roadway rules change, like being in the left lane? Is there a different rule for being in a left lane?
Apparently, in Wisconsin,
the
the
right
left
lane
lane is where you drive slow.
So the way I did a little research on this, and slow traffic is actually the number 2 rule of the road. Okay, slower traffic is on the right side. So if there are 2 lanes or more, the second rule, important rule, is to keep to the right if you're going slow.
Right.
Okay, so this should be a no-brainer, but it's not a no-brainer to a lot of
Clearly,
people.
it's not a no-brainer because people are fucking morons.
Jesus. I mean, I am, wow.
Sorry.
Okay.
Bing bong, everything today.
Okay.
Huzzah. What else we got?
Okay, so
Wisconsin.
if somebody comes up behind you and you're in the left lane, okay, it's very,
Get the
very,
fuck out of the lane.
just move over. And I know sometimes people get upset. I was talking to somebody recently about this, and they said, well, you know, when somebody comes up behind me, I'm like, just go around me. Okay, that is not the rule of the road, okay? So ultimately, by you saying that person should go past me on the right, you're telling that person to do something that's illegal because you're not supposed to pass on the right. So what you're supposed to do actually is move over to the right lane if you're slower than the other person. So ultimately, if you're in the left lane and somebody comes up behind you, they're wanting to go faster than you. And the only way they can do that is if you move over to the right lane where you're supposed to be in going slower, correct?
Yep.
So ultimately, move over if somebody is coming up behind you and you're in the left lane. Bottom line, that's it. That's the PSA.
I get it if you're in the left lane because you need to turn left here coming up pretty soon or something like that. Understood, right? But at least move with the flow of traffic. So that means the right pedal pushes down and you go faster.
Jesus. Yes. So as Shad said and really drove it home, just move over, people, okay? Because ultimately we understand you're new, you don't know where you're going. Shad and I travel. Sometimes we don't really know where we're going and we're like, do we turn? Do we do this? You know, and I get it. You don't know where you are.
And honestly, a lot of times when that happens, we'll pull over. We'll pull over and go, all right, where the hell are we? Where do we need to go?
The
What needs to
stop
happen,
and turn
right?
has to stop. You know, you can't just stop in the middle of traffic.
Instead
That's
of
very
going,
dangerous.
Wow, look how pretty this is.
All right. Well, that's our PSA about driving.
Okay. Now, this
Go ahead.
has brought in something else, though. And you were kind of talking, when you touched on the fact of somebody said, hey, you need to go around me.
Yes.
This is a whole nother one. This is the entitlement bullshit.
Oh my gosh. We can't go down a rabbit hole right now.
Yeah, we are.
Okay.
So this gets into the people that are crossing the road, right? They're in a crosswalk. They don't look. They just step out and they just start walking. Why? Do you want to die? Because the reality is, just because you walk out in the crosswalk doesn't mean everybody has to stop.
Well, technically.
So if you're at a light and the light is green, that does not give you the right to sit there and walk through traffic.
I feel like this is very personal to you.
It is very personal because
Did
it
you hit
drives me
somebody?
absolutely batshit crazy.
Have you ever hit somebody with your car?
I have not hit anybody with my car yet.
Okay, so then you're a good driver.
I'm a good driver.
Okay.
But a lot of these kids,
Kids
Oh, yeah.
these days.
damn it, they sit there and walk and they just take their sweet ass time crossing the road, staring at the car that's waiting to turn, that's waiting for them to get out of the crosswalk. Back in the day,
Back in the
Holy
day.
shit, I'm actually saying that. Back in the day, you actually were like, oh shit, okay, let me go ahead and get out of the way really quick. So you'd run through the intersection in order to let those people go. Now these little bastards just sit here and stare at you. Well, it's absolutely infuriating because, again, it's entitlement. And this is the problem that we're having right now is entitlement, right? Everybody gets a fucking medal, entitlement crap. Yeah.
Wow. Well, now you know how Shad feels about that, and I'm glad you cleared that up, so thank you. We're going to have to go to happy hour right after this. And
Yeah.
To de-stress a little bit.
Happy hours.
All right, so
Copious amounts of
driving
alcohol.
does get us a little worked up here in Florida, but we're going to move forward. All right, getting back to concealed carry classes. So that was our PSA about driving in the state of Florida. So move over, everybody just move over.
Right.
That is not going fast. Your left lane is for passing. All right, so
And just because you put on your turn signal doesn't give you the right to go.
okay, we're going to have to do a whole show on this because there's so many complaints. All right, so we're going to get into that in another time.
All right.
So let's get back to our classes because I want
Yes.
people to understand
Okay.
who should take a concealed class and who shouldn't, all right?
Sure.
So you will learn all of the things that we talked about, reciprocity, different rules of carrying in a concealed carry class. But what the misconception has been in the past is that concealed carry classes, everybody needs to take one, and they don't.
Right. They teach you about everything.
Correct. So we have people that take our concealed class that don't read the description, which, a lot of people do. So that's what we want to explain is that when you're going to take a class with us or with any other company, you're going to want to read through the description of the class because the way that we structure our classes is that you already have to be experienced with firearms and consider yourself proficient and be able to prove your proficiency with your firearm to take a concealed carry class because the concealed carry class is for you to get your concealed carry license. That's the training that you're going to get in that class. So you're not going to have, this is how you load a magazine, this is how you aim, this is your sight picture, this is how you should stand, we're going to go to the range, we're going to teach you this, we're going to teach you that. That's not what the concealed carry class is about. The concealed carry class is just that, to get your concealed license. So the topics that we go over in that class are items that you can carry with your concealed license, when you should carry, where you should carry, prohibited areas that you can't bring your firearm, justifiable use of deadly force, what is considered, items that you can carry and you can't carry, Castle Doctrine, how to apply for your license, what to bring with you, what to expect, stand your ground. So all of the statutes and the rules and regulations of carrying is really what that class is about. And getting questions and making sure that your self-defense right is not taken away because you didn't understand those rules and regulations, because you really do need to understand them in order to carry in our state. And you also, we believe, should be experienced with your firearm before you start carrying in our state, because I don't want inexperienced people carrying. They're going to hurt themselves.
Well, technically, you're supposed to be proficient with a firearm, right? And that's one of the issues. You'll go to some places and people have no idea how to load a magazine. They have no idea what a magazine is. They have no idea what sight picture is or how to deal with anything. And in that situation, right, it's a disservice to the person because now they have this license and they feel like they should be carrying, but they have no idea how or what to do.
And that's exactly what happened with us, to be quite honest. So 14 years ago, when I met Shad and he had guns, I didn't have any experience with guns. And he said, you know what, honey, let's take a concealed carry class. So we did, and it was the first time, maybe a second or, very, very early on in my journey with firearms that we took the concealed carry class and sat in a classroom and learned all those rules and regulations and stuff, but didn't learn any firearm training. And it was like, here's your license. And I was carrying, I had this license to carry and I had no idea what I was doing with the gun. And I was like, well, this doesn't seem right. People shouldn't have their concealed license that don't know what they're doing with their guns. So that's how literally this entire Mad Dog Armory thing evolved into being our business.
Because ultimately a lot of friends and family members and, friends, husbands and wives, couples, stuff like that, had that same situation, right?
They thought the same thing.
We were out meeting and talking, and all of a sudden Jillian would get in conversation and find out that they had their concealed weapons license but didn't know anything about firearms.
Correct. So. And that is definitely a disservice, which is why we're talking about it today, because we want you to be informed. People that are inexperienced that take our concealed class, we still let them sit through it, but they're not going to get their certificate of completion that they need to apply to the state until they actually do the firearm
proficiency
training. Correct. Yes. So just know that taking a concealed carry class might not be the right class for you if you're an inexperienced shooter.
Right. And again, like you
right?
said, right, it's different strokes, different folks, right? There's going to be different instructors that do different kinds of classes. So just
Correct.
make sure that you are absolutely 100% reading the syllabus on what's going to be carried, or what's going to be covered during that class, so that you know that you're getting what you are thinking you're going to get.
And any prerequisites potentially that you
Correct.
might need, because like I said, it does say in our descriptions of our classes what exactly are the prereqs for taking that class. And it will be frustrating for the attendees to be in a class that they're not supposed to be in. So even our beginner classes, our handgun classes, we have beginner, intermediate, advanced, so they're staged as far as who should be in what class. And then there's
Right.
descriptions of who should be in the beginner, who should be in the intermediate, who should be in the
Right.
defensive course and the advanced course. Because if somebody has never loaded a magazine before and they are just learning about guns for the first time, they need to be with other beginners. They need
Correct.
to be with people that are on the same skill level. It's going to create comfort
Right.
throughout the classroom. Everybody's going to feel like they can ask questions and they're not stupid questions, or maybe this person knows more than this person. So the disservice comes when there's different skill levels because people didn't
Correct.
read the description and they're in the wrong class.
Absolutely.
So an intermediate style person that knows how to load magazines and knows certain things
Shouldn't have to sit through that again.
shouldn't have to sit with a beginner.
Sure.
And then I feel bad as the instructor and that student feels bad and then the other
Right.
one's frustrated. So get into the right class, read the syllabus, read the description. If
Absolutely.
you have any questions before you book the class, call that particular location, call that store and ask questions so you are in the right class for you, because that
Absolutely.
really makes everything better.
Sure enough. Yeah.
True? Okay.
Well done.
Cool. Thank you. Oh. All right, so like I said, we teach lots of different classes personally. Shad and I love teaching. We're both instructors. The skill level is super important to get into the right class, like I said. In the state of Florida, you do not need your concealed license if you're not going to carry, or if you
Correct.
don't care about negating that weight. So you don't necessarily have to take a concealed carry class, right?
Well, and also feel like you don't, even because
AEIOU.
the bishop wore buttless chaps
No.
to the bat mitzvah.
We're supposed to do
all right,
that.
I'm better now.
Okay.
So
Jeez.
you can have your concealed weapons license. Doesn't mean that you have to conceal carry a firearm either. So some of the times maybe you're just an enthusiast and you want to be able to purchase firearms and not have the weight, right? In doing so, that might be a reason to get your concealed weapons license, but you really don't have any intention of concealed carrying. But it does give you the option. So it's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it.
Correct.
So,
yes, very good. And that's true. That is true. You can absolutely get it and not be carrying, but yeah, that's up to you.
Yep.
All right, cool. So if you have any questions about a concealed carry license, we did put some information up on the screen, but again, you can please visit our website. It's going to have lots of information about that, and get into one of our classes if you're local, or if you have any questions about any of this stuff, just contact us through the social media outlets and things like
Phone, you can call the shops. You can reach us
Yep.
via email, Instagram, Facebook, all sorts of different places. Google, you can find us on Google as well. So yeah.
that. Yes. Another good thing to find out if you're with the right company or if you want to take classes, read their Google reviews. So this is really important. Shad and I always read Google reviews about different things that we're either going to purchase or some task we're going to do or something fun we want to do.
Sure.
People leave reviews for a reason, so it's really good to read reviews about classes that you're going to take
Absolutely.
prior to attending those, because it's going to give you some good information. I always like kind of go to recents,
Yeah.
so you can see the most recent ones. You don't want to be reading reviews from 5 years ago where that company may have like
Right.
fixed any issues they had. So do you do Google reviews, Shad?
I do. I do quite a few Google reviews.
And Yelp?
Yes. Ugh,
Yelp? Do you use what? Yelp? You don't like Yelp.
No.
Yelp
Google.
hides our reviews, don't they?
Yeah. We have a bunch of people that did Yelp reviews, and basically they're saying that it doesn't have anything to do with the content, which boggles my mind because it has everything to do with the content. So I don't know. Yeah.
So I know that you are you like a Google review like prized person? What is that called?
Something like that. Yeah, I don't even know anymore.
You're like a special Google review person.
Mommy says I'm special.
So I think if you leave so many reviews, you become like a
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
What's it called?
Something. I don't know. I have a star. Whatever.
There's a
It's all good.
star. So yeah. Anyway.
I do reviews. I mean, it's
Yes.
one of those things. I take the time because I know it's important, and I know people look for information. So hopefully you guys can do the same thing.
Yes.
So it's always good.
Definitely.
So
All right, so look at the reviews of any of the places that you're looking to take some training. It's very important. We're very proud of our reviews. We ask people to give reviews to help the public know, that we're kind of awesome. So, all right, awesome. So let's get into our last PSA. Our last PSA goes back to driving, so Shad's going to get pretty worked up on this, but I don't know if this is a big one for you. Honking.
not as much because I'm not from New York, and there apparently you honk like a motherfucker, right?
Yeah.
So
Honking is a New York thing, I think.
Right.
Well, maybe just north in general, yeah. And I feel like that
Right.
that woman all the time when I'm driving. Like, what are you people doing?
Now, I will, there are times, and I get it nowadays, you're at a light, right? You're not supposed to be texting or anything like that while you're driving, right? So you get
Right.
to a light, maybe you're trying to take care of something, and this happened to me, and it's like you're doing something and you hear a honk, you look up and you're like, oh shit, I gotta go. Thank you, right?
Correct.
Cool,
Yes.
appreciate it,
Right.
right? How long do you wait?
How long do you wait?
Right,
That's
because on the
a
way
question.
here, there was some Wisconsin person again. Damn Wisconsin. But again, they were just kind of sitting there. There were two cars in front of us, and ultimately we're waiting, and about 3 cars in the lane next to us are already going. You would think the person might see it out of their peripheral vision. Not so much. But the person in front of me didn't honk, who's
Correct.
directly behind them.
Right.
I had to honk. And then they go, oh, let me pull my head out of my ass and let's start going. So, yeah.
So when is a good time? And this is like really just a generic question.
Right.
How long is enough to honk at somebody sitting at a light? So like you said,
Give it a couple of seconds. 1,000, 2, 1,000. All
Okay.
right, they haven't gone. All right, let's give them a honk. Right? I mean, it's kind of, it's tough, right? I mean, you don't want to immediately when it turns green honk. I mean, come on.
Right.
I mean, that's a little redunculous.
and the length of the honk really does
Oh.
make a difference as well. So
Oh,
the
yeah.
length of the honk
Oh, yeah.
really
You
makes
lay
a
on it and you're really telling somebody that you're pissed off.
Especially in the Jeep. So the Jeep has like a upgraded horn that's kind of like
Right.
trainish, So you lay on that. It's just, I don't like I don't like when people honk at me. I don't like it. I get offended. Like, what are you honking at me? The only time I don't mind it, like you said, is if I'm
If
kind
you're not
of
paying attention.
looking,
Right.
at my
Yeah.
phone. I'm at a light and I'm trying to answer somebody or something, which we're probably not supposed to do, but I'm doing it because I'm stopped.
If you're stopped at the light, I think in Florida, it's okay because you're not moving. I know there are other states that it's like flat out and hard no, but you're not
I
moving.
hope we're giving that good information because I didn't research that, but I'm not sure if you are or you aren't. But regardless, if you happen to not be paying attention and somebody honks at me and to tell me it's green, then I'm like, oh, thanks. But
Right.
the whole like it just turned green and then somebody's like, wah, I
Right.
mean, I get
Yeah.
a little annoyed with that. So
Ultimately, you can give the polite, hey, thank you.
yeah, like
right?
honk,
Yep.
just a
Appreciate
little
it.
toot. Toots are okay. Long. Full on honks,
Oh,
not
boy.
so
We're
much.
talking about toots and honks. That's a whole nother episode, too. Ooh, baby.
Oh, goodness, too funny. All right, so we got the honking down. So a couple
I
of
think so.
seconds, right? So the light's green, somebody's not paying attention, 3 to 5 seconds.
Because some of the times you're like, okay, and you
You look
see
up.
it, and you got to, so
Correct.
you can kind of most of the time look and see if somebody's paying attention.
Sure.
But you give it a few seconds, and they're not going anywhere.
Exactly.
Honk.
Exactly. All right, cool. All right, so we're going to wrap it up and say thank you again so much for watching. We're super excited to be here. Thank you for joining Tactical Talk with Shad and Jillian, the owners of Mad Dog Armory. We're super excited to be able to bring you these important PSAs and
Right.
CWP information and all that good stuff. We're going to be looking for our viewers to give us some information on some topics that they maybe would like us to cover. We've been dabbling a little bit in what next week's show will be on. I think
Maybe suppressors?
I have
maybe?
some boxes down there if you
Yeah.
want to grab them. So we can do a little intro to suppressors because silencers or suppressors are legal in the state of Florida. You can purchase them.
And the ATF just started with some e-forms, so supposedly 90-day return on getting your tax stamp in order to get this done.
So if you're not familiar with what a tax stamp is or all that stuff.
We're going to talk about that stuff. We're
That
talk about
all
that
has
fun stuff.
Yeah, that all has to do with silencers and things like that. So we can put that in the trough of things.
Sure.
Is that good?
Trough.
Okay.
Sure.
In the bin of things to
And
potentially
Dylan
talk
nailed
about
it today.
Yes,
Dylan was
Dylan did a
filling in
great
for
job.
Rob. Apparently, Rob had some sexcapades or something like that throughout his
Jesus,
hat.
Chad. Jesus. No, you don't say things
No?
like that. No.
Well done,
Jesus.
Rob.
Well, okay. So anyway, let's move on. Don't tell Shad any secrets, whatever you do. Dylan did a great job today.
Absolutely.
Dylan is actually the one that's been putting up some info for you as we've been talking, and we appreciate everybody here
the
at
producer.
We Beam TV because we wait till the last minute to give them stuff. So we're kind of busy and doing stuff, but I usually write the shows on the way here in the car. But
So we literally do fly by the seat of our pants.
yes,
Literally.
but we'll always give it to you real, and that's
Yeah.
something that you'll find with Shad and I is that we're very passionate about what we do. We're very passionate about gathering information, learning new things, and being able to pass it along to the public. So we will always be real with you, and we'll always be honest.
Yeah.
And we're going to call you out, Byron, when we see something that we don't
Bing
agree.
bong. Fuck your life.
Bing bong. Fuck your
We don't
life.
agree
Bing
with.
bong.
But thank you again for joining us. We really appreciate you. WeBeamTV.com rocks. Follow us on social media, MD Armory, and Mad Dog Armory on YouTube. Yeah,
Something like that. Yeah.
YouTube. You could just search Tactical
Yeah.
Talk with Mad Dog Armory and find us that way too. But I guess we should figure out those different things, and I'm sure they're up on the screen because Dylan's nailing it. So everybody have an absolutely wonderful Friday evening, and thank you again for joining us
Feel
on
better, Rob.
Tactical Talk. And I'm so sorry, Rob.